Welcome engineers to Race Problem. Today's problem is time trialing Bahrain and Saudi Arabia for round 5 and 6 of the championship. Last time out, if you want to see it, is in the top right corner. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1. We retired after we got brake checked by Albon and the safety car on the restart. Whenever an AI is leading, they will actually brake check. And if you don't respond quick enough, you will go into the back of them. The reason I had a little jump midway through one of those sentences is because I accidentally knocked my phone off the desk and landed on my lap. Precarious positioning there. Anywho, Bahrain and Saudi. Bahrain's pretty good, alright circuit for me. We do well in quali, but we just mess it up in the race, so we should be fine. And Saudi Arabia was the scene of our first win last season, and the scene of our first win in F1
We're going to do the same
preparation
as we had for China.
I'm pretty confident. Sorry for the echo just then, I did forget to connect my earbuds.
Who knows?
Anywho, Bahrain. I realised that I hadn't been showing you the first part of some of these
China works better.
all of these setup making processes, so I decided that I'd show it now. It is kind of basic and useless because for some circuits it is literally just the default setup. In terms of Bahrain though, we're just doing some little bits and bobs that I normally do, normally the same around every circuit, so it don't matter. Like transmission,
Let's go
geometry,
setup.
brakes, and tyre pressures. Onto the first lap then. We come across the line and we do a 30.6, which is pretty alright. 29s would be ideal. Onto the second lap then. We come across the line and we do a 30.7, so consistent laps with the setup, which is not bad. Baseline. On the third lap then, we did a 31.2, which is not ideal, it's about 5/10 off what we had done the previous lap. And we come across the line for the fourth lap and do a 30.7.
Okay, so it doesn't quite feel so good. What are these guys doing? Holy moly! That's some high front wing. Okay, right, yeah. Damn it, I thought that would have worked. I know I should have looked at their setups before. The top speed's good, so let's change the rear wing.
So honestly, I did not like how the setup
power
was done, so I wanted to copy the top times. Unfortunately, the top times are a little bit too on the nose for me. So when I had a look at their setups and saw how high the front wing was, I did not like it, and so I reverted to not using the top time trial times. In the end, I just went back to the basic setup I had, and then just increased the rear wing. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work. It seemed to me it caused me to make more mistakes and slower, inconsistent lap times. Well, actually, it was a little bit quicker, but they were inconsistent.
Still well into the 200s.
Didn't really matter. So for the third one, we increased the front wings. Obviously, increasing the rear wing helped in the high speed corners, but we needed that little bit of front speed turn. We needed that front end turn in as well, so we increased the front wing. Not too much because otherwise it would affect the straight line speed, but it seems to be doing quite alright. Got a lap in the 29s, a couple of mistakes, but overall it's quite a good setup and somewhat better than the previous two ones that we ran.
Despite the 2 errors on the final 2 laps, that was a good setup. Nice and consistent.
So now that we've found a good setup, we just play around with the suspension, try and see what we can do about trying to creep towards the top 8 time trial times in terms of their setup, but not too much that it becomes unstable on the front end. Eventually I should use the top time trial times, see how much on the front end I can handle, but I decided not to do that for these first couple of runs, of course. In the end, the change that we made is alright, made us a little bit worse.
I did nothing though. I don't know. This is so BS.
Should that count as a swear? I don't know. I don't think so. If I did say what that stood for, then probably. Anyway, we changed the roll bars again. I don't know why I couldn't speak, and we go again. Doing good lap times. So, but it is obviously a little bit confusing.
I struggle with rear tyre wear.
But it is a little bit confusing because I don't know why this setup seems to have worked better than the previous one. So now trying to do create a race setup instead of quali setup. So we try and reduce the rear tyre wear by taking off the load at the rear.
Reducing it by 10 at the beginning is probably not a good idea.
In hindsight, it kind of doesn't make sense because if you give the tyres more work to do, then they're going to lose. They're going to have to use more grip and therefore going to have to get worn more. So you should put more on the rear instead of taking off the rear. But it's not what I did, and lap times, kind of there.
Let me just save the first setup.
So obviously on that previous run, dropping the rear down by 10 was way too much. So we increased it up by 5. Sorry about getting cut off, I got a phone call again. It's twice now. If I had a nickel for every time it happened, I would have 2. Which is not many. It's weird that it happened twice. Anywho, yeah, we put the rear to 27 and it's going alright. It's
getting there though.
It's
2/3 of the way through now. 26 to go at 1/3. 26 minutes to go.
It's a somewhat decent setup.
Now I know why everyone had such high wings.
So, I should have explained that I was going to let myself talk during the setup bits, just because the stream itself actually has more knowledge about what I was doing than I do, surprisingly, you know. This was done in April. So we increased the wings, both of them this time, by 5, copying, following the path that some of the top time trial times had.
It's just I prefer driving an understeery car to an oversteery car, so it's taken some getting used to. What can I do to the setup suspension to help?
So we go again, changing the setup once again, trying to gain that little bit of performance. Like I was saying at the end of that run,
I've gone backwards with it though, the rear is more stable.
I prefer a stable rear. Unfortunately, the setup change that we did just make has apparently made the rear a little bit unstable. Can't really see that in the lap times, doing quite alright. Until this final lap where I made a mistake and did a 45.0. So let's go rectify that mistake.
The suspension, because I could probably get a setup where I only have to change the front wing.
Okay, so gone back to the wings, seeing if we can use the front wing to do that little bit of stability that we need. Obviously, because the front wing is much easier to understand than the suspension. So that's why generally most people are afraid to make setups, because you got the suspension bit. Usually people just touch the front wings and that's it. Have I accidentally included this whole lap? I have. Hold on. Sort it now. Okay, that was my mistake. I didn't realise that I've done that. Anywho, setup change that we have just made is pretty good again.
I think it'd be a confirmation run that the setup that we've got is the setup that we want. Four lap.
So what I was saying was the final run now is just going to be me using the best setup that I've made and just making sure it is the best setup and not some like recency bias or stuff like that. So we go again. Unfortunately, lap times aren't quite there, especially on this penultimate lap going wide and validating. We did go green though, and trust me, we did restart the lap, because otherwise this green would have been for no reason.
Shaved another tenth.
So we did a 29.8.
Not bad.
Showing that the setup is there on pace, kind of there on consistency. I feel like that was just, you know, me driving.
I looked all the way at the bottom for that.
An hour, 3 hours straight. So yeah, that is me done with Bahrain. And now we can move on to Singapore. Saudi Arabia, sorry. Looking at laps, kind of didn't go the right way with most of the setups though. Because most of the best laps were at the beginning of the session. On the first run then, we didn't actually change the setup that much, we actually kept it on the default for once. We did change the brake bias and differential within the first lap though, because that's actually key in being able to drive, because I can't handle locking. I can handle locking up, but if the brake bias is too high, then I can't. The first 3 laps pretty good. I think I did let go of the wheel at that point, that's why that happened, not because I was actually angry or something. Ow. I've just banged my knee against my desk and my elbow against my laptop.
What are the Xbox guys doing? The usual, I guess. Cool. It was set up free, right? Oh, the brake bias does change. Oh, that's really weird. What about transmission? It was preset 4, weren't it? Because it was 65 and 63. The wings look a bit low, but that seems about right. I'll load back in just to find out though. Pardon? Okay. What? Sal GP. Okay. What if I just put Sal? It don't like the word Sal. What if I capitalise it? No, what the? Huh? Sauron? Okay, that's really weird.
So anyway, yeah, the issue I was having there was I was trying to save the setup name under SAU because that's the 3-letter abbreviation for Saudi Arabia.
No,
it didn't like it.
Preset free. Okay.
I don't know why. But what you're watching is me just doing the setup for the next one before we did change the session. I don't know why it reset the car performance to realistic instead of equal, but I did change that, and now we can go on the second run. Taking inspiration from obviously the time trial times and just my baseline settings that I do for quite a lot of circuits. Going around doing 28s and 27s, mid 27s would be best, because that is roughly where my personal best is. Well, high 27s actually. But we seem to be doing good on this second setup, so kind of going in the right direction. So we changed the front wing down, give ourselves a little bit rear stability and see what that can do. Doing the first lap in the 28th, a little bit slower than we had been in the previous 2 runs. Again, mid 28s, not kind of where we want to be, so we have kind of gone the wrong way with the front wing. Again, 28.6, 2 of them in a row now. And on the 4th and final lap, we made a mistake, so SERP's definitely not in the right direction. So we go again for the 4th run. God damn it, where did lap 13 go? Okay. Anywho, setup seemed to work a little bit. We had gained a couple of attempts on the previous session run, which is always good. Doing a 28.3 on the final lap.
They were pretty consistent, weren't they? Oh my... I didn't realise they were that consistent. I mean, they were even better though. Nope. Maybe I've gone the wrong way with the wings. I did do geometry. Nice. Cool.
So we reduced the wings in hopes of getting a quicker consistency bit.
28.0, not bad.
28.0 is quicker. Let's see if we can match that in the other 3 laps. Going green at the end of the lap.
That is even better.
And doing a 27.8, which is always lovely to see. On the 3rd lap, doing a 20.
Still a 28.0.
28.0, so within 2 tenths, which is pretty good. And on the 4th lap, close to the ghost again. Surely it's consistent. 28.0.
Another 28.0. I do love me a 28.0 apparently. It's nice. So that's the setup. Can I rename you to what I actually want you to be renamed? Fine. Why doesn't it like the word foul? The front.
So now that we're happy with the wings, we move on to suspension, more in particular the anti-roll bars. Doing 29.4 on the first lap is not a good sign. On the second lap, we are further away from the ghost as well, doing a 28.2, a little bit better than the first lap, of course, but nowhere near the previous stint.
I thought this setup arrangement was supposed to do the opposite.
Doing a 28.1 on the third lap, and on the 4th lap, seemingly a 28 again. Yes, 28.2.
Almost 2/3 of the way through Saudi, and I'm still not got a good baseline. Unlike Bahrain. Yeah. Okay. How about next one? Okay, well. The 3 peeps at the top. Well, okie dokie. I wish you could press up and it go down. Go like to the bottom. That's how normally that works. See, that didn't work for me. I'll try that, see what that does.
Okay, so we go for another run.
It's going to be another 28.0.
Heavy inspiration from the top time trial times. And of course, we do love a 28.0.
28.3.
And on the second lap, we do a 28.4. Not quite the prediction of 28.3. The reason I was predicting them is because you can see the delta.
Damn, you get a good line.
On the third lap, we did a 27.9.
Didn't think it was going to be possible.
Pace is kind of there. Consistency, not really.
No,
28.7 on the 4th lap as well. So we make a small change and go out again for the 3rd final run. Doing a 28.0 on the first lap of the run. On the second lap, can we improve? We seem to be a little bit closer to the ghost.
Fine, it's close.
But we did a 28.1. On the third lap, we are relatively similar distance to the ghost, but we do a 28.2. Somewhat consistent, but going backwards. On the fourth lap, we seem to be a little bit closer to the ghost.
0.2. That'll do.
But we do a 28.2. Not really where we want to be. So we come in, change front wing down, and we go out again.
0.1.
First lap we did a 28.1, which is somewhat consistent. It's alright. 0.3 off the personal best. I prefer them to be the personal best. But when you're consistent with a 28.1 and 28.0, it's not too bad. On third lap, though, 0.2 green, doing a 27.6. It's pretty good. Not consistent though. However, pace bias does play a factor into which setup I do. Doing a 42 something on the final lap of the stint.
Why was the wheel going still?
Not quite where we want to be. So in the end, because this is our final run, we go again on that same setup. Doing a 27.7 to begin with the first lap makes me think that this was a good idea and this should be the setup that we actually use. On the second lap, we do another 27.7, which further solidifies my point. On the third lap, we are pretty close to the ghost again, doing another 27.7. On the fourth lap, can we make it 4 in a row of doing 27.7s? No, we seem to be able to go quicker, and we do a 27.5. If I was to not do a 27 in either direction, I'd prefer it to be that way. So that is good. Turn to the garage, save the setup, and then that is that for today.
Top 10%. I'm 2 seconds off. How am I top 10%? Why am I complaining? 2 seconds off, not bad.
So honestly, the first couple of laps were a bit poor, lots of invalidated laps. The reason you didn't see this in Bahrain is because I did not do it for Bahrain, I did not look at them. I went straight to Saudi Arabia. The second 14 laps were pretty good, only 4 invalidated laps, and then at the end, only 3 invalidated laps with the good run at the end. 3 27.7s and a 27.5. In the end, we could have done 27.3, but seeing 4 of the final laps, to be fair, 5 of the 6 final laps.
Anyway, join me tomorrow if you want for the
so that's pretty good for the setup.
Grand Prix. It's an alright one for me. Not in terms of pace, in terms of previous races, not the best. So just try and finish. Hope that if there are any safety cars, the AI don't brake check us again. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to be leaving thousands of meters in between. Yeah, if you enjoyed watching me time trial today, join me again tomorrow. And if you enjoy tomorrow, why not give me a follow? And check out the YouTube channel where occasionally these videos are, these streams are also put on as VODs and shortened videos. Until whatever, I'm the Racengineer. Bye!